Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the day 9th lecture. Today is June 11th, topics in cross-cultural and interpersonal communication. And thank you for submitting the day 8 homework assignment. And today you were supposed to take the day 9 review quiz first. So if you haven't taken that quiz, please go to the day 9 review quiz thread and please take that and submit to the duet, okay? And the due time for today's review quiz is the 24:00, the midnight of today, at the end of today, okay? So please don't miss it, okay? And submit it. That's just TF, true or false questions, 10 items, okay? So it should be easier and a quick take. All right, so please go for it first and please come back to this lecture if possible. And as usual, please download the day 9 worksheet and homework assignment. And homework, you're supposed to submit that by 9 o'clock next week in the morning. Thank you. Okay, then let's start it out. Today's topic is non-verbal communication, number 1. So part 2 will be the following week. Okay, let's review first. What was a verbal communication? It's on your handouts too. Please write in any information you needed, okay? Verbal communication we covered last week and the 2 weeks before. That's the form of communication in which you use, of course, words or speeches, okay? So that's the verbal means. In order to interchange or exchange the information with other people, your counterpart, either in the form of speech, it's the vocal verbal message, it's speech, and if it's words, written words, that's writing, right? So that's the definition of verbal communication. On the other hand, nonverbal communication, so that's the opposite, right? A form of communication which takes place by way of not a speech, not a writing, so unspoken or unwritten messages. Okay, that's easy definition. Okay, but for unspoken messages, there are a variety of unspoken or unwritten messages. Okay, and we categorize those nonverbal communication messages into the following 6 categories, actually. And the terms are as follows: vocalics, kinesics, chronemics, which I talked about that before a little bit, okay? Proxemics, haptics, which is quite popular in this time of the year and nowadays, and artifacts. Vocalics, you may imagine coming from vocal, right? Kinesics from body, chronemics, chrome, so time, right? And proxemics, space, haptics, touching, and artifacts, your surrounding, for example, jewelries or any kinds of clothing or what kind, the surrounding information. Okay, so those 6 categories are forming the set of nonverbal communication ways of human communication. Okay, so let's take close look to one by one. Okay, so on your handouts, the front page, first of all, you are supposed to write the quick analysis of your own nonverbal communication style. Are you the person who used lots of, for example, gestures and eye contact and body postures when you want to communicate something with your counterpart? Okay, do you use lots of nonverbal messages, or are you the person who try to say actually things with the verbal message, when you want to convey some kind of meaning or your wills or wishes, whatever, when you communicate with others. Okay, just analyze quickly. Which person are you? Are you a non-verbal person or a verbal person? That's the first square you have to fill in. Just brainstorming. Okay, and the bottom of the handout, you might want to write in any kind of information that I talked about, what's the verbal communication and what's the non-verbal communication, or the quick view of those 6 categories. Okay, and in the middle I just added, just for your information, okay, what's gengo message, what's verbal message, and what's the non-verbal messages or non-verbal communications. Okay, in Japanese, that might be of your help. Okay, then please look at the reverse or the second page of the handouts worksheet. Okay, then let's look at vocalics first. All right, vocalics, in other words, people say para language is another way of saying vocalics. Okay, as you can see, vocalics includes, for example, volume of your voice or tone of your voice, or actually intonation or pitch used by the speaker. Okay, and by changing the pitch, by changing the intonation of the same phrases or the same utterances, you can convey different meaning, right? Or you can put the underlined meaning to your voice tones or intonation, right? Uh-huh or uh-uh, right? Like you can change meaning just by adding some flavors to your messages. Okay, and that's you actually voice that includes voicing, but it's not language as it is. It's not a word. Okay, just its tones or pitches or intonation or even silence, right? So vocalics includes all the nonverbal elements of the voice. Okay, that's what you call vocalics. Okay, and it's one type of nonverbal communication. You use a lot actually, even in Japanese, even in English. Each language has its own tone and pitch. Some are international, very global, or the others are really original to that language, very significant to that language. Okay, especially, for example, Japanese, the silence, the meaning of silence is quite big, right, compared to the other languages. Okay, that's what you call vocalics or parrot language, the same thing. Okay, so for example, I didn't say you were stupid. 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 Okay, I just changed the intonation. You can see on the screen, you can see somehow the verbal message because I make it bold. Say or you or stupid is quite important, and you have to say with some special vocalics. Okay, you can mention, you can express in a written form somehow like this, but usually you say that, right, with some special stress on the specific words, or you pause before the specific words you want to exaggerate, or you change intonation, right? So can you say that? I didn't say you were stupid, right? But I didn't say you were stupid. What does it mean? I didn't mean it, right? Or the second one, I didn't say you were stupid. Maybe somebody else was stupid, or anybody else but you are stupid, right? I didn't say you were stupid, right? Or I didn't say you were stupid, but something else, right? Okay, so you change, automatically you change the intonation or the stress word, right? When you want to mean something. That's what you change your vocalics, right? And you know how to do that. Okay, that's nonverbal message, which is called vocalics or paralanguage. Okay. What about the second one? Kinesics. Okay. Let me tell you first. We will get into kinesics more in detail later on. Okay. But just let me cover the basic information about the kinesics. Kinesics is the study of body language. You know what the body language is, including gestures or hand gestures or the body gestures or the postures. Can you tell the difference between the gestures and postures? I guess so. Yeah, gestures, you move hands or you shape, you know, make shapes of some parts of your bodies. Right? Postures is just how you stand, right? She said this. All right. So a little bit different between gestures and postures. Okay. And of course, your eye contact and the facial expressions are also included into kinesics. And of course, from the morning till at the end of the day, you use lots of kinesics, right? To mean something, right? Without saying things. Don't you think so? With your family members, with your friends, with the teachers, and with the arubaito friends or the customers or the bosses, right? You use lots of kinesics. And in order to understand the correct way, and in order to understand somebody's kinesics in a correct way, you have to understand the underlying context. I mean, because the kinesics sometimes really varies from culture to culture, and some kinesics, for example, some gestures are really universal, right? But those who've been to abroad has some experience, may have experience, right? That certain gestures has quite different from culture to culture, from like a Japan to America. Okay, you'd better not to use certain finger gestures in certain cultures, right? Okay, so kinesics is very interesting to learn about, and kinesics is very useful, but sometimes very dangerous, right? Okay, so you have to understand those. For example, look at those pictures. All right, what about the ladies? It's on your handouts too. There's a postures, actually. And yeah, postures, and actually the how your legs are formed when you're sitting down, right? Okay, just lazy, but the man's way of doing that is okay. And I won't say it's really cultural, but those postures can convey or show sometimes your personality or how you are feeling right now. All right. Okay, you do that on purposely, right? Sometimes, okay. But yeah, so those are postures. Maybe it's personally different, right? Individual differences are here. And these facial expressions, the little girl had some facial expressions and gestures, even postures, right? She's crossing her arms, right? Tightly, and the facial expressions like this. She'd never be happy, right? That's universal, maybe. All right, so gestures and postures can convey meaning. What about this and the other ladies here? Maybe the same, right? Okay, biting his nails. Maybe those of some of you guys are doing this unconsciously, right? But what does it mean? Unconscious gestures, but it conveys meaning, and it psychologically, the person who is doing this is doing because they want to do this, right? Why, right? That's also gestures. Oh, right, gestures, right? And this is also gestures, hand rest gestures, right? So in the gestures also, there are quite a lot of kinds of gestures. We'll get into that later, okay? All right. So biting your fingers or biting your nails or those gestures Is this okay? Or money? Whatever. Right? And facial expressions and postures. Postures. They are all included into kinesics, which has lots of meaning, culturally or internationally, right? Okay, what about the third category of nonverbal communication? Chronemics, which is quite interesting. Personally, I think it's interesting. All right, chronemics is a use of chron. What is it? Use of time in communication, the concept of time. Okay. The personality of sender or personality of a receiver or listener, like punctuality and the speed of speech, even the speed of speech can convey some kind of meaning, right? And the punctuality, of course, it has very much individual differences, right? Yeah, someone's really punctual, someone's a very mild punctuality, let me say that way, all right? Or from culture to culture, it varies, okay? What's the right timing? Maybe different from culture to culture. You might have experienced that kind of concepts when you are studying abroad or when you have a meeting with somebody who's from other cultures or other countries, right? So those are called chronemics. And it's also the communication devices, believe it or not, right? So chronemics comes from chron, all right? Not monochrome. Chronemics is a use of time. And for example, this picture is quite funny, but the way of thinking, okay, the people's way of thinking can be controlled by the concept of time, right? You're late again. Maybe he's the boss. You're late again. All right. Don't worry, I'll leave early to make up for it. It's just a joking. Nobody's, acting like that in the actual business field. But uh, he might think this timing is quite late, and the other one might think it's not late. It's very punctual for him, for the person. All right. Or we'll have a kind of mini project, not today, later on. But if you are invited by somebody for dinner at somebody's house, you're invited the home party or something at 7 o'clock in the evening. What time would you be there? Would you be there a little bit earlier? Or would you be there at 7 o'clock sharp? Or do you think it's better, or do you think it's okay to be there around 7:30 or 7:20 or some 7:15? What do you think? Which is the polite way of visit your friends or the somebody's house, right? What do you think? You might change the arriving time depending on the culture. Can you do that? Would you do that? Or you might feel even comfortable doing that? Okay, that's also related to the chronemics. All right. Okay. There's no much information on the handouts picture of chronemics. Sorry, but I couldn't find any better pictures. All right, let's move up to proxemics. Okay, proxemics is also quite interesting concept in nonverbal communication. There are lots of studies in proxemics. Okay, this is the study of spatial arrangement of people when interact. Can you imagine what kind of study is this? The use of space. Okay. For example, the distance maintained by a person while communicating with each other. Now it's a coronavirus, corona infected year. Yeah, we have a very common term, social distance, right? Okay, social distancing is quite unique now. All right, you have to have the 6 feet, actually 2 meter or 180 cm from person to person. That's the social distancing nowadays. But the 3 feet, no, 6 feet are quite far, don't you think so? 180 cm or the 200 cm, 2 meter from your friends. You might feel very far, right? But that's the social distancing now, right? So, but what was the social distancing? What was the social distance for you in Japan until the corona outbreak? What do you think? どれぐらいの近さが普通のお友達との距離でしたか？どれぐらいの近さがあなたと、あなたの親しいと思う人たちとの間の距離でしたか？ That's the social distance. But there are four steps or four categories of your distance or social distance. Okay, starting from intimate distance, personal, and social with somebody you know or you might not know, and public. Right? It's interesting. But that means individually, intimate distance and the social distance is different. Right? You feel too close if somebody comes into you, close to you from a certain distance. Okay, and the distance of people feel uncomfortable, people feel it's really close or intimate, maybe different from culture to culture. Have you experienced that way when you were abroad, for example? Imagine when you greet with somebody. Okay, in Japan, for example, you greet with each other by bowing, or from friends, but with your friends, maybe you hug, even with the Japanese, or you shake hands, right? Or you just say hello and wave your hands, right? How close you are with your intimate or with your friends, classmates. 何センチぐらい離れてますか？お辞儀をするときは、頭同士がごつんこしないように開けているはずです。Otherwise, you feel uncomfortable, right? But overseas, for example, from your friends overseas, you might hug with each other. Some of your friends may kiss with each other, with cheek to cheek, right? You cannot have a social distance, for example, 6 feet, right, to kiss with each other or the hug with each other or shake hands, right? So, for example, what do you think? This is the two prime ministers to presidents of the country meet at the summit and greet with each other. Don't you think it's really close? Don't you think it's really awkward positioning? Yeah? It's by looking at it, you feel maybe you laugh about that. What about this? Hillary Clinton and Obama had social distancing. No, it's the before that. Okay, it's on a TV show, and it's not the movie. It's not a doga, so you cannot tell what kind of context, what kind of situations were there at that time. But this picture is kind of awkward, strange, right? This distance between those two, or the facial expressions, or how they face with each other, right? Have some meaning, or you can read from the context, right? What about this? That's just a funny picture, right? It's very far from each other, maybe 6 feet, right? But you can shake hands. But this is not the correct way of shaking hands, right? Yeah. Overseas, you might have experienced, right? You're not just shaking hands. Shake hands and use the other, for example, left hand, you touches the others, or shake both hands with each other, right? Or you pull with each other and get close and, tap the shoulders or touch, more touching, right? So this is interesting picture as well. So by looking at those kyorikan, those distance, very awkward, strange distance, you realize, oh, you have a correct distance when you use certain kind of even greeting, right? Okay, so the study of proxemics is quite interesting, and the proxemics can convey lots of meaning non-verbally, right? Okay, let's move to the fifth category, which is called haptics. Have you ever heard this word, haptics? Which is the use of touch. Use of touch in communication, touching in communication. Okay, this is an expression of feelings and emotions, sometimes, or most of the times. And of course, if you have experienced studying or the living in abroad, the way of touching and the amount of touching is quite different from culture to culture. Don't you think so? Right? Okay, that's the haptics, study of haptics. However, nowadays in this decade or 10 or 20 years, another study called haptics is becoming quite popular or more popular nowadays, which is this one. This is also the study of touching, but not human touch, but the power of touch. For example, touching to smartphone, or touching to the computer screen, or the machine's strength of touching. Those studies, it's quite engineering, right? Engineering field, I guess. Yeah, this is also called the study of haptics. Okay, so haptics of human touch, as well as the haptics of the touch to the power of touch. All right, is quite popular, and it's getting more popular than the human to human touching. Okay, so工学部関連の話にはなりますが、もしくは医学部関連の話になりますが、こんな風にマシンにタッチする、パソコンの画面にタッチする、どこまで近づいたら何を動かすことができる、Virtual Reality の世界ですよね。これも、Study of Haptics という Haptics の領域に入ってきています。ノンバーバルコミュニケーションですが、少し今やっているラングエッジとノンパララングエッジ、ノンラングエッジとノンラングエッジという、その域のハプティクスとかちょっとそれてきますよね。でもこちらの方がポピュラーになりつつあります。ハプティクスのスタディです。ハプティクスの専門分野というと、この工学関係のことを呼ぶことが最近は多くなってきました。まだこのジェネレーション、この、本当に今の世代を生きる人たちの言語だと思います。でも大事ですよね。リモートで、例えば外科医がその場にいなくして、手術を行うとか、それもハプティクスの技術が必要ですし、スマートフォンを、どんな風に動かすかっていう指先一本のその技術ですよね。それから触らずして、空間を動かすことによっていろいろな経験が味わえたり、いろいろなリアリティが体験できたりという Virtual Reality の世界。これもハプティクスの研究分野です。Okay, let me get back to the mainstream. The last one is the artifacts. Artificial とはちょっと関係ないです。Artifacts. This is looking at these pictures. What does this mean? What does the little jewelry-like thing between your in the middle of the your face? Okay, and Indian Indian women. What does this mean? And she wears lots of jewelries, actually gold jewelries, not golden, but pure gold jewelries. Okay. And the clothing, right? And the makeups even, right? They are all called artifacts. The appearance of a person, all right? And speaks about your personality or the meaning, right? If you have a ring on the left forefinger, all right, it means you're married or you have the steady, right? That's artifacts. You communicate with anybody using artifacts. Okay, so by way of clothing, what kind of fashion you're wearing, or carrying jewelries nowadays, piercing of your body, or tattoos. Lots of tattoos has lots of meanings in separate cultures, right? Okay, I added lifestyle too, right? But those are called artifacts, and you can communicate through artifacts without words or speeches. Okay, so this is part of nonverbal communication, believe it or not. Okay, so those fashions are also artifacts. I just added on the woman's fashions. Okay, but tattoos, all right, it's part of your fashion, but some tattoo has very specific meaning in certain culture. Okay, nowadays the little tattoos and the fashion tattoos, or it's getting very popular among the younger generations, right? But the tattoo in Japan has very specific certain meaning, right? In a certain generation or certain cultural group of people, right? And which is quite different from the tattoos in, for example, Aborigines in New Zealand or Australia's, and the Army, Navy, Air Force tattoos in America. It's totally different, right? So they are also called artifacts. Okay, let me add just one charts in Japanese. Okay, you can find a similar type of charts in the internet if you Google it. Lots of the researchers are doing that kind of thing, and lots of textbooks has that kind of charts, right? And the kinesics includes gesture, the body movements, even movements, yeah, and the postures, facial expressions, eye contact, that kind of thing. All right, Shintai Tokucho, we don't talk about that today as a nonverbal communication because the Taishu, Koshu, Tohatsu, Hifu no Iro, it's just innate things. From the very beginning of your life, you have that kind of thing, or you don't do that. You don't choose to be, for example, black. You don't choose to be white or yellow or the brown, right? So that's just the characteristics of humans. So I don't include this part into the nonverbal communication. Maybe the perfumes or colognes, yeah, those are the parts of communication which can be divided into artifacts, I guess. Okay. All right. And the proxemics in Japanese, it's sometimes called kinsetsugaku, right? Or kukangaku, even kukangaku, right? The ways how you use the spaces, right? Okay. Taijin kyori, or right, even nawabari. Nawabari in Japanese is the appropriate concept of proxemics. So, あなたの自分自身の縄張りは半径何センチぐらいですか？そこに人が入ってくると、それはあなたが許して入れている場合か、許さずして入ってくる場合は、テンションが上がります。Those are called nawabari in Japanese, just like the animals do. Any animal has its nawabari, and as that, human has the nawabari. So proxemics. Okay, and an interesting study is, for example, the study of the space in the office or in the library desk and seats, or even the classroom. Yeah, okay. how far you make from each other when you sit in the empty classroom or on board on, for example, on a train. 空いている電車の中でどこから座り出して、2番目の人はどれぐらいに1番目の人と距離を置いているか。But it's really a delicate matter issue nowadays in a corona period, right? Because we have the certain social distancing, which was decided by the government, for example, right? Yeah, which is quite different from your own social distancing, right? Okay. And haptics, 接触学 or 触覚学. That's really difficult. Yeah, so haptics may be in the department of sociology or department of anthropology issue, but nowadays it's in engineering and the medical science field as well. Okay, 撫でる、叩く、抱く、握手 or つねる、引っかくないかな right? Or that kind of touching, study of touching is called haptics. Okay, and 純言語、パラ言語学 it's the sound or the silence. Okay, it's language-like thing, but it's not language actually. It's called para language. Okay, in other words, like vocalics. Okay, 声の特徴、感情から体調から出てくる特徴。Right? 間の取り方は it's not a space, but the pause. Okay, 間の取り方です。And for example, the meaning of silence. Okay, do you have any questions? And silence. What does silence mean in Japanese or in Japan? Right? Is that ignorance? No, the Japanese silence has quite a lot of meaning. Right? I agree with you, or I have no questions or that kind of thing. Right? It's not the ignorance, at least. Okay, so the para language and 対物学 I included those 持ち物構成 kind of thing to artifacts. So 人工品、人工物 or the some kind of surrounding 品物 objects are called 対物学 I see. Okay, but I included all of them into artifacts, the 環境要素. Okay? But and also, yeah, artifacts include 建物、照明の色 or the 照明の明るさ or that kind of thing. But the artifacts in the communication field is rather those things. Okay? Not the 照明学 or the communication of maybe communication of colors are included into artifacts here too. Right? Okay, and finally, chronemics. 時間学、時間の使い方、学。Okay? 物事の同時進行性、優先順位。So we're going to talk about that a little more about your own sense of chronemics. All right? Well, we'll check that kind of thing. All right? So it's an interesting field. So from now, we are going to look into more specifically and more in detail of kinesics and chronemics, especially, okay, from now and until next week. Okay, so kinesics, let's just digest this is preview of the next week. Okay, kinesics is a study of body language. We have gestures, postures, eye contact, and facial expressions. But especially, for example, gestures, there are 5 categories in gestures. Okay? 4 categories are like this: gestures, postures, eye contact, facial expressions. But in gestures, there are 5 kinds of gestures, which all of them have very different use and different kinds and different concepts. All right, so we're going to talk about that more in detail next week. But for example, look at the mini exercise on your handouts. Can you see the the President Trump's 3 pictures. Number 1, number 2, number 3. They are all gestures. They are all kinesics. But those 3 gestures are categorized in very different categories. Okay, so his facial expressions, and he's meaning something in number 2, right? What does it mean? You can tell, right? Number 3, what is he doing? Okay, especially number 2 and number 3 has different meaning. I mean, they're all gestures, but the gestures has quite complicated. Okay, so let's talk about that next week. Okay, more in detail. That the categories are emblems, illustrators, regulators, affective display, and adapters. Okay, all right, those 5. And let's talk about just emblems today. Just emblems. What's emblems in gestures? For example, this is an emblem. This is a gesture, all right, Japanese. They're bowing. What does it mean? Yeah, bowing, 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 right? Okay. What about this? This is also gestures, quite shocking gestures. But they are not boyfriends and girlfriends. They're not the couples, right? But they're kissing with each other. But you know what it means. That's why you don't get shocked, right? Okay. Emblem is a movement, right? And that movement actually communicates. Emblems are body movements that substitute, that's a key word maybe, substitute for words and phrases. Okay, so for example, this emblem, this hand, right, is a substitute for some words. What words? Yes, stop, right? Emblems, we beckon with our with our index finger to mean come here, like this. It's not doga, it's not the movement, but just a picture, but you move this finger up and down, right? That means come here, right? For what about this? We use an open hand held up to mean stop, like this. Okay, but we don't have to say it. We don't have to use the verbal message. Just by doing this, we can communicate. That means this gesture actually is a substitution for the words, right? So, 意図的に使われて、同一文化では共通の意味を持つので、とても便利です。つまり、言葉の代わりに使われるサインのようなものがエンブレムです。ただし、一つの動作が文化が異なると、異なる意味を持つ場合があります。ただ異なるのではいいのですけれども、ある文化では、あるフィンガージェスチャーがタブーだったりします。なので、危険を伴うこともある。知っている、知らないというところで、コミュニケーションギャップ、ミスコミュニケーションが行われるということもある。それがエンブレムの特徴です。What about this? Have you seen that greeting in Aboriginal in New Zealand? This is same as bowing for us. This is same as kissing with each other, cheek to cheek kissing. In an English-speaking country, for example. Even in an official situation, they do it. Man to man, right? Even the royal family does it. right? Because this is a greeting in certain culture. Okay, this is interesting. Suppose he is Japanese. Okay, what does this mean? He's pointing his nose with an index finger. That means jibun, right? It's me. And pointing. It's not. It doesn't mean my nose, right? It's me. 私です. But believe it or not, this gesture is not universal, international, intercultural. Okay? What about this? Pointing the little finger. In certain Asian cultures, what does it mean? Actually, I've never encountered this actual situation myself, so it's like a, I don't know, the stereotypic information for me. But that means the guy wants to go to the bathroom, and he's asking, "Where is the bathroom?" to the other guy. But without knowing the meaning in this culture, you cannot answer. You cannot communicate with each other, right? In a correct way. What is this? What does it mean? Right? Okay, oops. Okay, in China, Hong Kong, knocking the table. Okay, means thank you. Yeah, I asked my Chinese friend, and that Chinese friend didn't know that, so I'm sorry. It's just maybe stereotypic. Yeah, but knocking on wood in America or Britain, right, has some very different meaning, right? Knocking wood means good luck or tempting fate, right? Don't you think so? 木を叩く習慣にあったことがありますか？今言ったことを取り消します。or 願いが叶いますように。crossing my finger と同じ意味ですね。crossing my fingers good luck お祈りしてます。大丈夫ですように。Right? That's the meaning of crossing your fingers or knocking on wood. キリスト教の文化から来ています。木を叩く習慣ですね。But in certain other culture in Asia, like China, that means thank you. Okay, so again, emblems 意図的に使われます。You use it because you want to use it, right? And within the same culture group, or within the same country, maybe culture group, it has some universal or the understood meaning. So it's a substitute for words. You use the gesture for some words. Okay, that's what you call emblem. Okay, and it's cultural, it may be culturally significant. Okay, emblems are used intentionally. They have verbal equivalence or the substitute verbal message. Okay? They have a clear, consistent meaning within a particular culture. Cross your heart. わかりますか? Crossing, do it. できますか? Cross your heart. Yeah, I should have shown myself. Cross your heart means, 頭から顔を通って胸の間ぐらいで十字架を切る作業です。これ cross your heart です。神様です。Right? Cross your heart. Cross your arm と全然また雰囲気が違いますよね。Shame on you. 指でいろいろと作りますね。ピースサイン、V サイン作ってピース。これは日本人よくしますよね。I'm crazy. 顔の周りでこうくるくると指を動かすような作業。Okay. On the other hand, I won't get into that so often, but not emblems, but illustrators, for example, okay, is quite different. They are both are gestures, but not as emblem is a substitute for words. illustrator itself is not substitute for words. It's like an additional information. All right? Illustrators provide a visual image to what we try to say. For example, this one, quotation mark. You are speaking something, okay, something else, and you quote, 括弧に入れる、強調するときに、ダブルクォーテーションマークのジェスチャーですね。Okay, so you are saying something verbally and you add a visual image. Okay, for example, like this. こんなぐらい。And you shape. どんなぐらい？ちょっとだけ。And you use the finger gesture. ちょっと。Right? So while they're not entire, those illustrators are not entirely replace the words like emblems, but they do make sense when they are added to the verbal information. Okay? So they strengthen, those illustrators can add more information or can strengthen what you want to say. Okay? By using like some kind of visual image. Right? So you can think about them as a spices or addition, and you don't have to do that, but it's better with the illustrators. So now you learned two kinds of gestures, right? One is emblem, as a quite substitution of the words or phrases, and illustrators, which is not the words actually, it is as it is, but you add information. Okay, so those two. 話の内容に合わせて表現します。So you are speaking, you are talking, you are with the verbal information, illustrators can be used. Right? 物の大きさ、上下関係、位置関係示したり、方向順序、こう言ってこうしてこうしてこうして手を動かす人いますよね。人や物の動きを示したりします。あと、さらに強調したり、リズムを取ります。手を振りながらスピーチ、演説をします。これも演説の、ね、で言語に対応しているわけではないと。Call me。これもエンブレムです。言葉になかったら、これはもしかしたらエンブレムかもしれないですよね。でも call me もしくは I'll call you で、このジェスチャーをすると。これは illustrator です。Look at the time. あなた遅れてますよなんて時に使います。さあ、こういうことです。レギュレーターになると、ちょっとイラストレーター、さっき言ったイラストレーターと話がややこしくなってきます。でも、okay, look at your handouts and the trumps, those three gestures. Number 3 is kind of complicated. So you can still not answer to all the 3 questions. So let's leave it until next week, until after we finish all 5 gestures, starting with emblems, illustrator, and regulators, and the 2 more. All right, you can answer those questions. Okay, but let's leave it until next week. Okay, but instead, wait a second, instead, wait a second, 待ってね。ビデオ。Okay, please look at the mini project 1. Just only one mini project today, but at the end of your handouts. Okay, let's skip the Trump 3 pictures now and look at the mini project here. Here, there are 7 pictures or little cartoons, all right? And he is doing some kind of gestures. They are all emblems. Okay, they're all emblems. Okay, and from number 1 till number 7, would you please choose the meaning of that emblems? And two parentheses, 2つ括弧がありますよね。Could be, you can find two different meanings in different cultures. Okay, number one may be quite easy. Number two, I just talked about that. So, 括弧に全部埋まらない場合もあります。一つの場合もあるし、different culture, different meaning の場合もあるので、まあ、下の選択肢5群から、何か選んで、意味をつけてみてください。わからない場合は、まあ、置いといても構わないですし、知っているジェスチャーがあれば、もしくは overseas でこのジェスチャーを使ったことがあれば、それを思い出していただければと思います。まあ、知らないことに関しては、例えば No.4 でしたら、さっき私が話をしましたよね。まあ、そのインフォメーションでちょっとステレオタイプかもしれないですけれども、実際に経験がなければ、本当かなって思うかもしれないですけれども、まあ、これは、まあ、作られた問題なので、下の選択肢から選んでください。And number 5, for example, that's how you count things. And sorry, これは本当に画像が動画だったら分かりやすいんですけれども、もしこの数え方、こういう数え方で、1からずっと数える方法なんですけれども、it's culturally really significant. And also interpersonally, it's significant, right? But why not checking from the Google, the choices below, and put them into the parentheses. And that's part of your homework assignment. And 満点取らなくていいですし、わかんないところはほっておいてくださってもいいです。Just play with it, okay? They are all emblems. Okay, so today we studied about the kinds of nonverbal communication, the categories of nonverbal communication, starting with the vocalics, kinesics, chronemics, proxemics, haptics, and the artifacts. Okay, and especially we are in the middle, on the beginning of the closer look to kinesics, especially gestures, especially emblems. Okay, so next week we will talk about the more illustrators and adapters and two more kinesics categories. All right, and look into the chronemics and the space use or that kind of thing. All right, get into more in the vocalics and kinesics, chronemics, and the proxemics. Okay, and there won't be quiz next week. Okay, the following week, a week from today, you will have a quiz for the nonverbal communication. But the next week, there's no quiz, no reading assignment. So just please come to the slide lecture next week. Okay, and I'll be looking forward to reading your homework assignment submitted on time, please. Okay, so this is the end of the class today. Thank you for joining me. Again, do not forget to take the quiz day 9. Okay, that's the due 24 midnight today. All right, don't miss it. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.